Welcome in, traveller. Settle in. Tonight's tale is as old as the hills. Older, probably. I'm talking about An Fhoraois. That's what my kin call him. But you might know him better as the Green Man. This isn't just some story about old stone carvings and forest spirits, no. It goes even deeper than the roots of any tree. Winding through time, from Ireland's sacred groves to England's ancient churches, from France's cathedrals to Germany's darkwood forests. So, fill your mugs, my friends, settle in, and perk up. This tale is worth your ears. Here he is, the Green Man. You've seen him, though maybe you didn't know it. The term Green Man isn't terribly old in and of itself. It only dates back to about 1939, when Lady Raglan coined it in her article written for the journal Folklore, inspired no doubt by the leafy visages that she observed on medieval churches. But his presence is ancient, carved even into the stone arches of the York Minster, vines and tendrils crawling from his mouth. You'll find him hidden amongst the decorations in Chartres Cathedral in France, staring out silently through the centuries. In Bamberg Cathedral in Germany, ivy grows endlessly from his lips, symbolic of nature's ceaseless return. He's even etched into bridges, such as the stone crossing at Swaledale. He's been there watching travelers for generations. But when we look closer, no two green men are exactly alike. In older carvings, he appears gentle, almost human, with leaves subtly adorning his beard. Later artists gave him a fierce visage with thorns and vines coming from his eyes, his ears, and growing in place of his beard, consuming him, making him less of a man and more of a vengeful natural spirit, like nature unleashed. So why the change? Perhaps as we moved away from the woods, nature became something more mysterious, perhaps even fearsome and sinister. Yet, here's the curious part. In spite of his visage being practically everywhere, there's scarcely a story written about him, and hardly an epic to be had. Seemingly no bard has captured his deeds, no parchment of the skulls has found its way into the common histories. His tale is one that is older than writing itself, whispered among villagers and druids, and mason and craftsmen, passed from stone to stone and from forest to forest, only by the breath of the storytellers brave enough to carry his tale. My king, we honor him quietly in the spring, leaving sprouted acorns in the soft soils at the edges of forests, so that his domain may expand. Every year when I was a boy, we would go to a great oak in a place we called the Light Hollow in County Down, and there we would leave our offerings for him. Just a silent nod to a great and ancient ancestor, be it of the forest or of ours. You see, An Fhoraois needs no story, because he is the story. He is the embodiment of every forest in every land across all of time. The terrible tales and the whimsical poems that we write because we heard them whispered in the leaves of an ancient forest. And those whispers on the leaves in spring, that is An Fhoraois' poetry. In our traditions, An Fhoraois is often associated with the horned god, Cernunnos, keeper of beasts and forests. And while the king's men have only found evidence of him on the Gaul cauldron of Gundistrum, His story we will tell later, because there is a darker, seemingly more modern association that is almost the shadow of Cernunnos, called the Horned God. And even outside of my clan lore, these figures are sometimes seen as being connected. And they are not the only ones. There are many figures like this who are connected through themes of nature and the wild. Growth, strength, and shadows. We would lay down fresh acorns for the green man and scatter charred bone dust in honor of Cernunnos. Offerings always left carefully, because you never know who else is in there who might get jealous you didn't bring a gift for them. Because you see, the green man and Cernunnos, they aren't quite ours. They are, but they share themalities and domains with figures from all over the world. Ancient Egypt had Osiris, almost always depicted as green as the Nile banks after a good rain, representing rebirth and regeneration. And in Hindu mythology, carvings speak of the yakshas, nature spirits covered in leaves and branches. And even across the ocean with the indigenous peoples of the Americas, we find figures that are rooted in the revival of nature. So were these stories carried across the lands by humans and passed on from one hand to another? Or is it simply that we human beings, wherever we settle, we sense that power surrounding us, encompassing us, that sense of something profound and eternal in nature's cycles? Who is to say, really? All I know is that every time I gaze into an old oak, I see the face of the green man, and it feels as though he is watching me quietly from the depths of the bark. The last spring that I was in Ireland, as my family left our offerings beneath the branches of that ancient tree, the air was heavy with mist. There was no breeze, but the leaves, they rustled and rattled, stirred as though by an unseen hand. Perhaps it was just my imagination, I was a young man. Or perhaps it was the presence of An Fhoraois, silently acknowledging the renewal of the bond our people have had with him for a great many generations. So raise your glasses, adventurer. A promise to the green man that his story will always stay safe and sacred beneath the roof of the tavern. And if you have any you would like to keep safe here, make sure you share them while you're with us. And until the next time that you gather here, my friends, stay bloodthirsty and hungry for more stories here in the Black Dragon Tavern. I'll see you next time.